But I do want to get into the whole anxiety thing and depression. And I know that this podcast is going to be like ultra fucking long, but that's okay. Because I spend the majority of my day trying to help people find new ways to cope with this stuff, giving them advice, etc., etc., that I don't really have time to focus on myself. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, I feel like people are sometimes just afraid to ask, you know? I was afraid to ask. Um, so over the past 9 years that I've known about my anxiety, has it been 9 years? 8 years, somewhere in that fucking age range. I have found a couple different things that I know that I can do to help with my anxiety. One of them, I have this thing where if I don't know what's going on with the situation down to the last very fucking T, gives me like severe anxiety. So the best thing that I can do is if I don't have all the information, sit down, write out what I am upset about, what I'm scared of, what is triggering my anxiety. Ideas almost trigger my anxiety. And then I go through one at a time and I logically think about how can I combat this? What can I do right now in this moment to help me feel better? That sounds absolutely bonkers, but hear me out. When you write things out, you're physically and mentally associating what your anxiety is with some sort of control because you can control what you write. That's what you're doing. You're controlling what you write, like obviously. Then if you go through and you logically find out something that, like if I have anxiety that my window's open, like obviously I can close the window and like close the blinds. Eventually you're just going to learn that stuff. Eventually your brain will associate your anxiety with something with a logical explanation and a logical solution. Okay? If I, like, okay, here's another example. I cannot just go somewhere. I need to have directions. If I've never been there before and I think that even slightly I might not fucking be going the wrong way, I will pull over and cry until I can't breathe. Write some directions down. If you're just casually, like if you have anxiety about going to work, okay, and this is a big one that I used to deal with all the time when I worked at McDonald's. I hated going to work to the point that it gave me panic attacks while I was there. The only way that I could find to combat that was to sit down and again write it out, speak it out, record it, whatever. Logically sit down and find out what is freaking you out so much and then fight that. Whether you fight it, whether you combat it, something. Everything has a reason there. It's not just there. Something always triggers it and you need to sit down and as yourself, by yourself, without help, figure out what is triggering that and neutralize that trigger. I know people hate that word, but shit, what else am I supposed to use? You know what I'm saying? And then it's the same thing with depression. Like if you notice that getting out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning hinders your ability to produce the chemicals in your brain, don't do that anymore. Sleep some more. Sleep less. I don't know. Like I find that when I get depressed, the best thing that I can do is sit down and listen to upbeat music because happiness travels. It really does. If you're really depressed, go sit down with your friends. Go sit down, watch a comedy thing on YouTube or on fucking Netflix. I don't know, but you can't let yourself drown. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, and I know that I need to take my own advice sometimes because I know how hard it can be. I know that when you get depressed, you don't want to fucking do anything. You just kind of want to lay there and just float. But if you spend your whole life floating and sinking, how are you supposed to swim? You can't expect to go through the same thing, get the same results, and improve. It doesn't work like that. You got to figure something out. Distract yourself. Be around somebody that's happy. Do something that you know you enjoy. Like if you're like me and you like graphic design, sit down and make something. Make something that tomorrow you're gonna be able to look back on and say, I was depressed and this helped me. Just don't get stuck. Every day is a new chance to do more and do better. If you find enjoyment in helping people, go to 7 cups of tea and donate 2 hours of your time for all I fucking care. There are people out there that they have nobody to talk to. And in the instance that you feel like you are alone, look around because, honey, let me tell you, everybody feels the same way half the time. Everybody deals with depression. And whether your grandma wants to admit it or not, she gets scared too. Things like this, we are not meant to carry our pain. And this is one of my favorite quotes, and I know that you guys are so getting tired of me quoting Shane Koizan, but there is a quote that says, "You can pack your misery, you can stack despair, but come tomorrow you must change your clothes." And that is beyond accurate because if you walk around wearing the same ass dirty clothes, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. You got to learn to start fighting for yourself. Because until you fight for you, nobody else is going to. And that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I definitely need to learn to start keeping this shit and taking clips of parts that I enjoy because I honestly feel like sometimes I need to listen to my own advice because I feel this way. I think everybody feels this way. I am fully convinced that everybody deals with some sort of mental illness, um, and that they need to be just a little bit more aware of their place in the universe because everybody has a place. Everybody's here for a reason, and despite how many times a day I feel like my reason never came up, that my ticket was never called, I'm here. And there's a reason for that. And if that reason is to sit here for 45 minutes more than one time a week talking to you guys over the internet, guess what I'm gonna fucking do? Because at the end of the day, we do what we're good at. And if you can't do, you teach. So if I can't handle my shit, I'm gonna teach you how to handle yours. With that, I'm gonna get off here. I still need to think of like a closing line, something catchy but yet dramatic that's gonna kind of make you think. But do me a favor. Don't just do. Don't just teach. Do both. Spread good, because some people they don't have enough good. Some people they're drowning and they need help, and some people are too afraid to ask for it. Good vibes, okay? Good vibes.